Folks, here's a question that should keep every marketer up at night. When somebody asks ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, or Grok, or Google's AI, who's the best tool in your category, does your brand even get mentioned, or are you invisible? The search box that we know, the 10 blue links as we know, has kind of shifted. And I know I've talked about it for a long time. I wrote a piece about GEO probably like 2 years ago now. There's a massive shift happening. And over the last 13 months, there's been someone online, someone in boardrooms, someone inside of the organizations around the globe, helping them navigate this new age of AI visibility. His name is Nick Lafferty. He is the first marketing hire at Profound. He's currently the founding marketing engineer at Profound and is doing a lot of fascinating work, being at the forefront of this rise of AEO, AI visibility, GEO, AI SEO, whatever you want to call it. He's been at the forefront of it. In this conversation with Nick, we dive into a few things that a lot of people have been ignoring. We dive into the reality of what trends, what strategies and tactics people think are AEO, but they're actually just overused and not worth investing in. And it's kind of just noise in the sea of the conversation. We dive into practical ways to identify opportunities as marketers as it relates to finding the next rocket ship. We dive in deep into the culture of Profound, what it's like to work there. We dive deep into how Nick is leveraging things like Claude to do more. Some of the strategies that he shared about creating ads and personalizing them for ABM activities are things that I don't think he's actually shared with too many other people, and it's a reason why I want you to listen to this episode. There's something in this episode for every enterprise brand, for every leader, for every marketer, for every exec who's trying to figure out how they can set their organizations up for success in this new AI age. But it's also an episode that I think will inspire the next generation of marketers to be able to see opportunities in front of them that they might not be pursuing because they haven't heard what it takes to actually get where you want to be as a marketer, which is successful. We get into how AI search really works. We get into how marketing as a craft works, how to make friends on the internet, and how you can ensure that the career that you leave and the career that you make for yourself is one worth being proud of. Folks, if you're playing the long game, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Ross Simmonds Show. Ain't no such thing as love in this business, baby, it's all business. Gotta hustle with the business. Nick, thanks so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Let's start right at the top. You've said that AI has no taste on its own and that you need to know what good marketing looks like before you can go out and automate it. How would you say marketers should be thinking about developing that skill, whether it's taste? Like, is this something that you believe is teachable? How do you get it?
Yeah, I think it comes down to experience, wisdom, and a bit of judgment too, of you need to know both what to do and also what not to do. And so an example of what not to do is, maybe you don't go spin up thousands of programmatic pages to scale content, And so I think taste is kind of curated a bit over time. A lot of it comes down to what are you ingesting? What kind of like creativity are you kind of consuming, both in marketing, if you're in B2B, if you're in B2C, kind of just like ingesting what other folks are doing and building up your own. It's almost like a taste radar element over time. And you really have to be a student of marketing and kind of think critically of like, oh, even if you're watching TV, you're watching the World Cup, like, oh, I really like this commercial or that one. Like, what was it? What elements about that I really enjoy? And I think that does compound over time too.
Can you tell me a little bit about, for yourself, how you have self-taught that muscle, that skill? Like, what's been some key factors that have gotten you to where you are in your career? Like, how did you develop your taste for what good marketing looks like?
Yeah, a lot of how I learn best by doing and often by making mistakes too. And so a lot of what I've done, like I more or less taught myself SEO by building up my own website on the side, doing a bit of affiliate, side hustle, side marketing, trying things in a safe space. Like my website is a very safe space. I can test, I can fail without a lot of consequences, really. And so that has really helped me. And then a lot of it has been also focused on what can I create and put out in the world? I think when you create something, whether it's a LinkedIn post, a video, a blog post, whatever, and you start to get feedback on it, it kind of starts to eat away at this, at least for me, this kind of mental block almost of like, no one wants to hear what I have to say. No one cares. What if people judge me? What if they disagree? And so I think the act of creativity and getting that feedback in public and writing my own newsletter has really helped refine my own taste, because ultimately I write and I create the kinds of content that I want to see. And I think that's the right kind of positive feedback loop.
I love that. Why did you make the decision to join Profound?
That's honestly a great question. And I've been here for 13 months. And before this, I was running my own.
It feels like it's been like 13 years.
It feels like 13 years, man, let me tell you. Don't ask me about my sleep schedule right now. I was running my own solo consulting business and got introduced to James from one of our investors at the Series A, and just fell in love with the vision, the product, the space. It was kind of still super early,
right?
Back then, 13 months ago. And I wanted the challenge of being the first marketer. I've never been the first marketer anyway, which is a wild job to sign up for in general, and twice as wild at a place like Profound at the velocity that we move at. And looking back now, at the time I was 50-50. I was like, I don't know if I should shut down my business. It's going well, to join this unproven early stage company. And now I'm like, I would have been insane to have said no to this. And so I'm very thankful for past me for taking a risk.
That's awesome. I love it. When you look at the state of things as it relates to GEO, AEO today, like what gets you excited to still be in this space at large?
Yeah, there's still so much to learn. I think we're all still figuring out what this is, what tactics work, what doesn't. The pace of evolution here seems so much faster than in traditional search too, where it seems every other week there's a new model from Anthropic or OpenAI or Claude Code, and this stuff is just evolving. And it's so fun to be a part of that on the inside. And then now my job at Profound is I get to go speak and talk and get to evangelize the idea of the marketing engineer. And to get to do all of those things is truly the most exciting work of my career so far. And that gives me so much energy.
That's cool. Let's go down on that word you just said, marketing engineer. What does that mean?
Yeah, a marketing engineer is part builder, part artist. And so it's someone who builds, maintains, and scales AI systems and then uses them to unblock their team who's kind of stuck in manual processes. And so it's someone who's really deep on the AI side, but is also a native marketer. And so when I've talked about this concept to people, there's kind of two approaches. It's like, is it an engineer who becomes a marketer? Is it a marketer who becomes an engineer? Some of this is my bias as someone who was a marketer first, but I think you need that taste, that experience of being a marketer, knowing what not to do, back to your first question, to then go and build the right systems and tools for your team. And so I get to do that at Profound for my marketing team, and then I get to go speak to other marketing engineers as well and learn from what they're doing too.
Could you get a little tactical? Like, what's the day in the life of a marketing engineer kind of look like? Someone's listening to this, they are intrigued, but they don't know what it is. It seems like it's a newish phrase in a way of describing a technical / art style role. Like, what does the day in the life of a marketing engineer look like from your perspective today?
The marketing engineer kind of sits in the middle of a marketing team and then touches everything from growth, product marketing, content, affiliates, PR, and then reports to a head of marketing, a CMO, and really interfaces with their team directly and says, hey, where are you stuck? What are you working on? And so to give you an example, because Profound is growing so fast, we have like 4 different email automation tools from HubSpot, Customer.io, all these different systems. And we don't have a way to sync all the unsubscribes from the different systems to each other. And so our marketing ops person was doing this manually, like exporting, importing, spending way too much time of her day on a very manual, tedious process.
Right.
And so I sat down for an hour or two with her, mapped out the problem, sat down with Claude Code for a bit, and then built a system that connects to all of those APIs. And she can go and press a single button that will download all the unsubscribes, upload them everywhere else, and kind of sync everything across the board. And so that's like awesome. One example of something I do.
That's very cool. When you think of the concept of marketing engineer, what do you think people need to have at the forefront if they said that's a role we need to hire for? Like, what should they be looking for in the individuals they recruit to create that role internally?
Yeah, I think the table stakes is someone who's AI native, who is thinking about how do you solve business problems with AI first. And so I think like that's kind of like the foundation there of, it's not just taking a current process and using AI to automate it, but it's how do you redo the process entirely with AI at the center of it. And so I think that's part of it. And then the other part is someone who is just infinitely curious, I think. Someone who is constantly able to learn and improve, who enjoys reading the Claude Code documentation, is that's what I was doing this morning of like, what is a workflow? What is this? What does slash loop do in Claude Code? And so you need that curiosity. And I think that's one of the best skills any marketer can develop is, I think lots of folks are worried about the impact of AI on their jobs and marketing, and the best thing you can do is just be curious.
I love it. So let's go into the world of AI visibility for a second. So a lot of folks think of it exclusively as a content problem. You oftentimes think and describe it as sometimes an engineering problem. What does that actually mean for someone who's listening today? Like, what's the difference in what you're trying to suggest people start to think about when it comes to AI visibility?
Yeah, I think when it comes to AI visibility, and there's things you can control on your own website, which is a much more local system, I guess, to build inside. And so what kind of content on your own domain can you influence, control, create, optimize, fix? And then there's everything off of your website too. There's Reddit, YouTube, which are very richly cited sources of domains. There's whole partner ecosystems that would love to write and collaborate with content with you. And so I think what's interesting to me about AI search is that I think it's forcing SEOs to kind of look up from their own domain, like literally their own .com, and look up at the whole ecosystem of things they could influence. And then you add an engineering lens on top of that of like, what systems can I build to automate this or pull in new reports or do things like that I think makes this job really, really interesting and well beyond just content.
What do you think most people get wrong about AI visibility today? Like, where would you say there's the big misconception that the market hasn't really caught on to yet?
Yeah, I think what most people get wrong about AI visibility is that your own domain is really where you can have the most influence. And that from our own research, we found that only about 5 to 10% of all citations come from your own domain. The other, call it 90% of citations come from third-party sources, Reddit, other places. And I've been saying this stat for 6 months, 8 months now, and I'm still surprised at how many people it's new information for, which is why I keep saying it. But it really is so much more cross-functional than I think people appear. You get folks like the PR teams, product marketers who are suddenly very interested in how AI represents their brand. And that was not really true as much in traditional search.
You've probably seen a lot of the insides of how this is shaking out in organizations that are bought into AI visibility. With a lot of the stuff that I see, you have to break a lot of silos. Like, we're talking about YouTube being highly cited, Reddit being highly cited. We see review sites being highly cited. We see press releases being highly cited, documentation pages in technical cases that are highly cited. When you look at all of these different places offsite that are being cited, and you folks at Profound have a front row seat into some of these organizations using the platform and then making the decision to make moves, how do you see enterprise brands breaking down the silos to actually allow for a YouTube strategy to be executed with AI visibility at the forefront, a Reddit strategy with AI visibility at the forefront, still taking care of the site because it's important? Sure, it's not the massive citation rates, but it still matters. How are you seeing enterprise brands structure and think about breaking silos to make this thing happen?
Yeah, I've honestly been shocked at the rapid pace of adoption at some of these enterprise companies. I'm talking thousands, tens of thousands of employees that are often known for moving slow, being kind of late to the game. I presented in front of like a large pharmaceutical company earlier this year, and they are so ahead of the game in terms of they're mobilizing teams internally, they're getting resources. And I think the difference is there's someone in leadership who is making this a hair on fire problem, and then shouting that from the rooftops to their executive leadership, like tops down, bottoms up, everywhere. And so there's kind of like one change maker, and it's all it really takes is one person who takes it seriously, who flags the problem, and then can mobilize people internally to kind of go and solve it. And so I was talking to an enterprise brand recently who they know they need to do Reddit. Their Reddit sentiment and visibility is really poor, but their social media team is just 2 people, and they're already fully staffed managing, you know, every other social media channel. So I got on the phone with them, and I could see the anxiety in their faces of like, we know we need to do Reddit. This is a kind of like tops down, you know, forced approach from our leadership team, and we have no idea how to begin, how to start. We need more resources for it. And so I think that's kind of what it takes.
There's somebody listening to this that is bought in. They want to be that change maker within the org, but they don't know what they need to bring to the discussion. What advice would you give that person to be able to start going to the execs, going to the board, going to the rest of their peers maybe, and say like, we need to start thinking differently about AI visibility? Like, where should they go to start making a case, and what should they look for if they're going to make the case?
Yeah, I think there's, you know, looking at your existing metrics right now of if your organic search traffic is decreasing, maybe your impressions are increasing, your clicks are decreasing, which we know a lot of brands are seeing right now. It comes down to you need to find the problem, highlight the problem, and then go poke at the problem and surface it to whoever you think can help you get buy-in and influence. Because it may be that you're the only person who sees this or who has access to this data. Internally at Profound, we have this concept called MTIV, which stands for make the invisible visible. And so I think that's the right kind of like mantra to adopt is look at your metrics and then go to whoever you report to and say, hey, this is a problem, like our traffic is down. And then also I've ran a couple prompts in ChatGPT. Here's some screenshots where we're either not visible or, which I think is a worse problem, we're visible, but ChatGPT is saying some really incorrect stuff about our brand. Either pricing is wrong, facts are wrong, we don't stack up favorably in a head-to-head comparison to our competitors. And then you kind of like map out the whole problem set and then just be really annoying about it. Be the squeaky wheel. I think it's sometimes hard for marketers to market themselves or their own problems, which seems so backwards. Is we're so good at doing this for our companies, but to turn the mirror back on ourselves is really hard. So go be the squeaky wheel about the problem for as uncomfortable as it may make you, and say, we need to invest resources into this. We need more, you know, content production. We need to, you know, repurpose our content better. Our sentiment on Reddit is awful. We need to go fix this and go talk to Ross and Foundation. Like you need to like go solve that problem and go be the person who finds the problem and also suggests solutions too.
I like it. If you were like, you've gone on a wild journey, like you're running your own thing. Now you're in this world. Just when you look back, like what have you learned about marketing growth? Like, the being in a marketing seat as like the first hire, like what's the biggest takeaway over the last 13 months that you've taken?
Yeah, the biggest takeaway is that you can just do things. It's rewarded a lot at Profound of just taking action. So to give you an example, when I started, this seems crazy to say, but when you submitted a lead to Profound back in the day, you got dropped into a Google Sheet, and then that's where the automation stopped. It was someone's job to come in and look at every single new lead and route them and email them with a Calendly link to say, hey, book time with us. And I came in on day one and I was like, hey, this is not good. This is terrible. So I went to James, our CEO, and I was like, hey, this is a problem. I want to fix it. And I remember exactly what he told me. He was like, Nick, like, don't spend forever comparing tools or vendors. Like, you probably know a vendor that can solve this problem. Like, go find it, go buy it, and implement it this week. So by day 2, I was taking a demo. By day 4, We had a signed contract, and then by that Friday, I was implementing a new system to fix it.
Love
and
it.
that one thing increased our pipeline by 70%.
Nice.
So much I had to add a big asterisk to our first board meeting
Right.
afterwards of like
Right.
why our
This
pipeline
isn't gonna
number
continue.
jumped.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, by the way, that was me. I did that. So, thanks.
That's awesome. I love it. So someone listening to this, there's going to be a wide range, but someone's listening and they're like, I want to be the next Nick. Like I want to find the unicorn someday. Like I want to be able to find that type of an opportunity. What's the advice to someone who might be a little bit early? They're looking to kind of make a bet. They want to go into a high growth opportunity. One, what should they do? And two, like what skills do they need? Like what's your thought on the landscape and what someone should do?
Yeah, I think one of the best things I've done was just network my ass off. And so I have taken more coffee chats with random people on LinkedIn than maybe most people. And I think the key is you want to do this before you ever make, but definitely before you need it. And before you ever make an ask of someone, like just offer up your time and say, hey, I want to learn. Can I buy you a coffee? Can we chat? Can I share what's working for me in some way? And you do that over and over and over again. Before this and before my consulting thing, I worked at Loom. And that's how I got my job at Loom is I DM'd someone who was not working at Loom at the time. I was like, I need to hire someone. Can you give me some tips? Bought her like a Starbucks gift card.
That's cool.
A few months later, she was at Loom. A few months later, she posted the job that I ended up getting at Loom.
Right.
And I was like, hey, I slid into her DMs. I was like, hey, great to meet you a few months ago. This job is perfect for me.
Right.
I just applied, would love to talk with you. And so you do that enough and it really starts to compound. And then I think the second layer to that is prioritize companies that have a good brand that are well known. As hard as this is to maybe internalize, like there is a name recognition factor to it. If you used to work at Uber or Loom or Profound, like there's a cachet attached to it that a lot of people tend to like gravitate towards. And so if you can prioritize getting time at those companies, then that will also pay dividends down the road too.
So I heard a few things there I want to double down on for a second. So the first one is like you're essentially just going out and making friends. It sounds like you're trying to build real relationships, sending folks these DMs. Do you just send them a DM and say, hey, I like what you're doing. Can we grab a coffee? Like talk us through how do you make friends in a digital world? Like what's that look like? Are you just sending cold emails?
Yeah, it's all cold LinkedIn messages. And I think it's funny that you use the term just make friends because when I was consulting, I had my own newsletter about what it's like to run your own solo consulting business, quit your job, do this scary thing. And I have a whole newsletter titled like, just go make friends on LinkedIn. Like that is the right mindset of like, make it not transactional.
Right.
And so, definitely just like slide into people's DMs, say, hey, I really respect the work you're doing, especially if you're doing some similar work right now and you have similar titles. Just offer up, say, hey, like I'm seeing a lot of success with paid or with Google or with this. Like I love to tell you what's working for me and maybe learn what's working for you too. Cool. So you lead with an offer of giving, I think is really the key there. And then that effect is compounded when you've also been posting on LinkedIn too, because then people can go look at your content, look at what you've been talking about, and you become more of a well-known face on the platform. And so it makes it easier for people to say yes to someone who is not a complete stranger to them. But that person I told you about who became my boss at Loom, she was a complete stranger to me. I think my message to her was, I'm hiring a demand generation person. I want to know what a good one looks like. Can I buy you a coffee and pick your brain for 30 minutes? And
that's cool.
Eternally grateful that she said yes to that.
That's awesome. You mentioned knowing about how to select the company because of like brand recognition and the value of the brand. When Profound was just getting started, you still made a bet to go to Profound before Profound was the Profound that we know today. What were the signals that you thought, oh yeah, this is going to be the one?
Yeah, there's a few things I look for when I'm looking at a new job right now. And some of this is from like wisdom and experience a bit, but I personally, I need to love and use the product a lot. And so the first time I saw the product, I was blown away. It's way different now. Like Profound V1 was so different than what everyone sees right now. But at the time I could see it. Like I knew the product, I knew the space was going to be interesting. The team was building the best in class software in this area. And so that was one thing. The second thing was, because I was going to be the first marketer, I really needed to work for and with a CEO their vision of marketing matched my own vision. Right. So I kind of filter for that, of asking him, like, what do you think about LinkedIn? Like, what is your opinion on LinkedIn as a platform and as a way to grow companies? And James was very early bought into the idea of social media and LinkedIn and posting very often. And then for me, it also came down to the whole team was in person. Right. And I had been remote for 5 years, and I really craved and wanted an in-person opportunity. I had just moved to New York City about 9 months before I started, and I'm like, I want to build a network. I want to get involved. I want to be in the middle of this thing. And so it checked all the boxes for me.
I love it. Is Claude Code one of your like go-to tools that you're using on a regular basis? And if so, like, can you talk us through like some of the use cases you've found to be ridiculously valuable in your work?
Yes. Yeah. I use both a combination of Claude Code and Profound Agents, like our own agentic marketing product. Claude Code is amazing. And I think there's 2 unlocks for every marketer with Claude Code. One is MCPs.
Okay.
And so learning and understanding that you can find MCP servers that will go and fetch and pull data and enrich whatever workflow you're building in Claude Code is a huge unlock.
Someone's wondering what in the world you're talking about. Take us back a step. What does that mean?
An MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. It was adopted and created by Anthropic as a way to kind of like add natural language connectors to an LLM kind of system. Cool. And so one I use very often is by a company called Every.to. They put out a great newsletter about AI and models, and kind of like it's how I stay current on learning all the different updates in AI.
Cool.
They have a really interesting business model of the newsletter is kind of their top of funnel, and then they build their own software products. And so one of their software products is called Spiral. It's a tool. It's basically a much better AI-assisted writing tool that you train to write in your own voice. And you can connect your Twitter account, you can upload your own content. And so I've uploaded all of my newsletter editions. I think I've written 50 different newsletters before I joined Profound and had 0 time to continue doing it. And so I connect Spiral to Claude. And then so when I'm writing something, I say, hey, use the Spiral MCP to rewrite this in my voice. And it is 100 times better than just having Claude kind of like do it yourself. And so MCPs are an amazing unlock.
And would you say, like, I was going to say, so on a scale of 0 to 10, how close is it to the way you would have sounded versus like what Claude would originally come out with?
Yeah, if Claude is a 5, then Spiral gets me to an 8, and I kind of like do a final manual polish myself.
Love it. That's awesome. Is there any use case that has stood out over the last few months that you've leveraged with Claude Code that you're like, more marketers need to be doing this, more marketers need to be aware of this, this is something that more brands, marketers would like go wild over if they heard it?
It's going to sound very technical, but it is a shared context layer in the form of Claude skills. Which let me unpack what that means. And so what I have built at Profound is, again, a shared context layer. And so I have skills in Claude that I've created, I sync to GitHub, and then my team can pull and use them themselves. Cool. So what all of these skills are, imagine them as you have all the different dimensions of your marketing strategy written down in individual files that Claude can read. So you have a voice file of here's our brand voice. And then you have here is our brand, here is our products, here's what we sell. And you kind of keep these files updated. Here is a folder of all called competitors, and you have a file of here is competitor A, competitor B, here's what they do, here's what Profound does, here's where we're better. And so you build up a library of 5, 7, 10 different skills across all these dimensions of your business. You feed them into Claude, and then Claude can reference all of them every time you go and ask it something. So if it's like, oh, I need to go make a new messaging doc or positioning doc or go update it, it'll reference the skill file that you've made and then that you update over time. And so when I do it, I pull from the same shared context layer that my product marketing team does, that my PR team does. And so we're all pulling from the same kind of like foundational knowledge set.
Yeah.
And the output of that is a much more consistent output from all of these different AI models because you're feeding off of this shared context layer.
That's cool. I love it. So you get alignment across the board where there's no kind of one person saying this perspective around a battle deck or a battle cards of you versus a competitor, and then the other person has a whole different pros and cons, reduces the likelihood of hallucinations as well. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's basically moving you from single player AI mode to multiplayer AI mode. You know, like you're not just building for yourself, but your whole team is using something shared. And then the next level is you have a company-wide, you know, shared context layer that everyone can pull from. And so that's kind of like the levels of AI that we're seeing evolve.
Have you used Claude or any other tools to actually create creative that goes out to the market and have seen results from it? Like, has that been an execution effort that you've taken?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And so one of the things I've had success with is running one-to-one ABM ads on LinkedIn.
Cool.
So the caveat here is this only works on LinkedIn with larger companies because to make an audience on LinkedIn ads, you need an audience of at least 300 people. So this only works for big companies. But basically you make individual campaigns that target either every marketer at a company or every person at a company.
Cool.
And then you need a visual creative that says, hey, company name, like, hey, logo, like, hey, Zoom, hey, Loom, hey, Profound. You like slap the logo right in the middle of the asset. But to do that, it's super manual. It takes forever. And so I built my own system that, one, you can use Claude to go pull a list of logos from the internet. It's actually quite easy to go like pull all these files. There's APIs that go do it for you. It's really, really easy. And then if you ask your brand or design team of like, give me one reusable, you know, asset in Figma, like we use Figma internally. And then you can go and connect it to Claude Code and the Figma MCP and say, go make me 100 different variations and swap out the logo for each of these companies. And you kind of feed it all of the data. It'll go through and crank it out in 5 minutes.
Wow.
Maybe. And then from there you can load it into LinkedIn, pass off to your agency to go do. And so I think once you start to think at scale, I think you can really see good results.
That's awesome. So the thinking would be, if I'm working at, let's say, Acme, this is the fake company from Looney Tunes. I'm not going to get sued by anyone, but let's say we're working at Acme. I can run an ad that says, hey, Acme, you're invisible in ChatGPT. It has a picture of me pointing to Acme's logo, something like that. They see this ad at the entire company. There's thousands of marketers. They're all seeing this ad on LinkedIn. You've written the copy with AI. You might be using what was it called? Scrolly? What was the tool? Spiral that's helping make sure that the copy sounds like my voice. It's all in my voice, and those ads are running on LinkedIn. You're able to kind of build all of that with AI. Am I on the right path?
Yeah, you're exactly on the right path. And like there's something like scroll stopping about when you're scrolling your feed on LinkedIn and you see your company logo in an ad, your brain is like, whoa, like I'm not expecting that. Yeah. And so the engagement, the click-through rate on those is like 3 to 4x what I would normally get on just a generic one. And if that's your starting point of, your click-through rate is 4x what you'd normally get, then I think like you're in a great spot.
I love it. We're starting to talk about data. I want to ask a question that's on everyone's mind. When it comes to AI visibility, when it comes to all of this GEO, AEO, LLM visibility, EIEIO, when it comes to trying to show ROI, what do we measure? What is the conversation that is happening today? Like how is Profound talking to clients? How are you folks thinking about the measurement element of this today?
Yeah. I think it's as someone who's in B2B, I think I have this a bit easier.
Fair. That's fair.
I'm a big advocate of the how did you hear about us question. So much that when bless them, we have new RevOps people that start and they try to like optimize our contact sales form. Like, Nick, why are you asking this question? I'm like, I will literally fight you if you try to take this field away. For us, it's a open text box, required, has a 5-character limit. I talk to other B2B people who still struggle to get this field added to their form. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, you're missing out on all this rich data. And so we ask people, how'd you find us? And so anyone who says ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, whatever, we tag them automatically in our CRM. And then that kind of flows through to opportunity, deal, close one. And so that ROI for us there is very easy. If we don't have that, then the next layer we start to look at is, what does your AI bot traffic look like? And what is the trend over time? And then how do you benchmark against your industry, your competitors? And we have a product for this in Profound called Agent Analytics, where we will download your server logs, show them to you, show you your AI bot traffic over time. And then we just launched benchmarking, which will compare your data to the entire data set that we have to say, are you top 1%? Are you bottom 90%? Where do you stack? And then that kind of helps get some resourcing and buy-in too.
I like it. That's awesome. One of my favorite features in Profound is Persona, where you can build out personas and have kind of a custom experience around the prompts. Do you see a lot of folks using this correctly? Is this something that you're seeing a lot of brands embrace? And if so, can you talk through for the listeners why personas are important? Or I can do it for you, but I would love for you to kind of articulate like why this feature matters and why the team rolled it out.
Oh man, I would love for you to sell it for me, but I'll give you my perspective. Personas are important because one of the most common questions I get is, how do you track prompts, across, all the different variations that someone could be, searching and prompting in ChatGPT? And personas is our answer to that question. And so personas lets you create, a quite literal persona that then we append to all the prompts that we send. And so how I have it configured in our own Profound accounts that I manage is, we know who our buying committee is. We know that there's maybe an SEO person, a head of growth, demand gen, a CMO, but we also know that there's other people involved. There's a PR person who wants to know, the value of their citations in tier 1 or tier 2 publications. There's an affiliate manager who wants to look for new opportunities to, get links or buy placements on, third-party listicles. Yeah. And so you can go and build all those personas all the way down to gender, age, title, many, many different dimensions there. And then you can track your performance, your visibility, your citations across all of those different dimensions and say, oh, when affiliate managers search us or prompt us in ChatGPT, we're actually quite lacking on visibility or citations. Right. Here's exactly the gap that we've identified. Let's go fix that now. And so that's how I view the value of personas.
I love it. So I'm exactly in the same spot, but the one piece that I would add is that it allows for the closest we can get to understanding memory inside of the LLMs. Like when a user is leveraging an LLM, the memory within Claude, the memory inside of ChatGPT is very personal. It's very much an individual experience that no one else is really going to get. And with personas, what I like is the fact that it creates a synthetic experience where we can try to mimic and understand what memory would feel like for someone in our ideal customer profile. And it might be very slight. You could have an SMB, you could have an enterprise, you could have East US, Eastern New York, US, Western, like you can go region based. All of those things are super important, but no marketer is talking about it. And it blows my mind. It makes me upset. It's like, this is so important, but no one is talking about how personalized all of the experiences are. So that's why I love it. I think it's the only answer that we actually have in this world of AI visibility that makes sense, but nobody's talking about it yet. But they will. I believe they will. All right, let's go down another path. I want to talk about the volatility in citations. Like, I feel like every month you see someone on LinkedIn or X saying Reddit is dead, LinkedIn is up, Quora is back, Medium is dead, SlideShare's back. Like every week, there's something changing. How do you folks think about guiding clients and marketing teams through the volatility of ChatGPT might love Reddit, but Perplexity might hate it, and Grok might not even cite it? Like, how do you talk to teams about this wild landscape that we live in?
Yeah, I mean, that is the landscape that we are, is that this industry can change and move so quickly. And OpenAI and Anthropic don't really give you a heads up when they drop a new model on you.
Right.
And, I think SEOs are used to Google, who has gotten, a bit better about communicating, a new core update's rolling out. It starts today. It'll be done in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
OpenAI is not doing any of that stuff right now. And so you really do need a way to keep a constant eye on your visibility and internalize the fact that nothing is static in this industry. Like Reddit might be up, it might be down. Tomorrow, everything could change.
Right.
I had one of our self-serve customers emailed me a while ago, and they were like, hey, can I pay for Profound for a month, get some data, and then stop paying for it? And I was like, sure, you could do that, but like what happens when the next model comes out and the training data is different, the web search is different? Like when your boss asks, like, why is our AI referral traffic down? And you're like, I don't know, I canceled my Profound account. Like that's not a good look.
It doesn't work. Yeah, it's so true. I think one of the other volatility pieces that not a lot of folks are recognizing is like the launch of things like Fable, and then Fable disappears, and like all of those dynamics as well. How does the team navigate this? Like what's the culture like inside of Profound for managing all the chaos that is like just in existence of the AI era? Like what's it like? What's everything like right now for you guys?
Yeah, it's excitement. I think the general environment inside of Profound, and
cool.
Our CEO would say this privately and publicly, is the best thing that we've built at Profound is the culture that we have at the company. That's cool. And so when a new model comes out, we're all scrambling to try and use it and try it and experiment with it. And I think that excitement translates into the product. It means that when Fable comes out, we implement it directly in our agents product, so you can call, Fable and use Fable when you're running Profound agents, at least until Anthropic and the U.S. government shut it down.
Right.
And so a lot of it is excitement. And when again, I've been here for 13 months. I joined around, 20 employees. We're now 220 employees. And when you grow that quickly and you're adding so many people, that it just kind of keeps this really exciting momentum that we have, and with a focus on just evolving and moving quickly and serving our customers too.
I love it. You've been around for 13 months. What's the coolest thing that you've seen someone do with Profound that you can talk about? Like what's one of the coolest, you don't have to say the brand, but what's something that someone has done based off of Profound data that you're like, that's best in class? Like you wish you could do that. If you were to get out of Profound, you'd be like, yeah, I wish I was the one who did that.
Yep. There's a certain shoe brand that we work with that was looking at their citation data, and they found this really popular running blog that was very highly cited, had tons of content. And they found it because it wasn't really ranking that well in SEO, but it was doing phenomenally well in citations in AI search.
Right.
And so the marketing team identified it and then went back to their leadership team, and they went out and they acquired this blog so then they could go and kind of like turn it into their own media property.
Smart.
And then they took it a step further, and they were like, well, we bought this one, but what if we made our own? And so then they went out and bought a new like non-branded domain. And so they're building up content on these other surface areas too. And I find that strategy really novel and really interesting. We'll see how long that kind of works before systems evolve and change. But I was so surprised at the rapid adoption of how quickly they were able to move on that, because the marketing team found something cool and said, hey, we should go do this.
That's unreal. I love it. Yeah. We've talked to a lot of orgs about similar opportunities where we go into Profound, we see, hey, this random blog is run by an individual in like just their home, and they're crushing citations. You should probably send them a letter of interest. And it makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. I love it. Is there anything that has surprised you from the AI models lately around what's getting cited, shifts that have happened? You folks track millions of prompts all across multiple answer engines. Like, has any data stood out recently that you're like, that's interesting?
Yeah, I think some of the most interesting data to me now is really around accuracy. And so I think what we're finding is that when AEO kind of like first became popular last year, everyone was so concerned about, are you visible? Do you show up or not? And I think the narrative is really changing too. Is what ChatGPT is saying about my brand accurate or not? So we're building products around this at Profound. And I think a lot of leaders would be surprised at the amount of inaccurate information that LLMs can still say about your brand online. And some of that comes down to simply that your brand's messaging is inconsistent across all the platforms you own.
Right.
Like your YouTube channel description might be different than what you say on LinkedIn or on Instagram, or
Right.
your Wikipedia page might be different. And so if even if the surface areas you control have inconsistent messaging,
Right.
then that's the easiest thing to fix. But then how does that scale across kind of everything else? And I think we're seeing more and more leaders kind of get more concerned around like, what is the content that AI is saying about me? Not just like,
Right.
do we show up in, one word in a 3,000 character response?
Yeah. So if a brand does discover that they're being studied, but the information's wrong or outdated, like what's the fix today? Like what do you advise folks do?
Yeah, I mean, other than buy Profound and use our new product called Fact Check, which is rolling out I think today or tomorrow, and whenever this comes and gets released. But I think the first thing you can do is go audit all the properties you own and sit with your product marketing team and say, hey, is this message consistent? Is this up to date? Is this what we want to go to market towards?
Right.
And then from there, go look at citations and say, hey, are these third-party citations consistent with the messaging that we want? And then, go build, a campaign around correcting your messaging there.
I love it. When you look at the state of AEO and you look at the marketers who are talking about it, there's a lot of conversations going one way or the other. What do you think most marketers are getting wrong today when they think of the industry at large?
Yeah, I think that a lot of marketers get wrong in that they approach the system as gameable. And so I think kind of what I mean by that is like, oh, last year, like listicles were kind of like all the rage in AI search. Like everyone should be making listicles. Like we of course, we have some at Profound too. Yeah, and I think that because the space moves so quickly that what was true a week ago might not be true tomorrow or in a week. And so I think instead of saying, hey, what is like a short-term thing that we can use to, game the system in, right now, what is our long-term strategy to approaching how we show up in AI search? And then how do we build an adaptable system internally that lets us kind of like pivot and move and stay like on top of things going forward? And so I think it's almost a mindset.
Yeah. If you were to advise on how to create a culture where that mindset is embraced, like what advice would you give to marketing leaders who have already gotten the C-suite bought in, budget's there, capital's there, they're ready to invest, but they want to have a long-term view? What is the approach that you would advise they go through to get to excellence with the work they're doing to drive AI visibility?
Yeah, I mean, I think, step one or step zero is, hire or, promote someone into a marketing engineer type role and give them the authority to go build systems around this. And how do you bring AI into your marketing team to kind of like mix up and really redefine every part of your marketing strategy? And so it could be something like, oh, I want to rebuild my campaigns around this. I want to redo my whole content production around using AI to make sure that like every page has the right, backlink to each other. Every page is like referential, and we run this check automatically. And so it's like, how do you build a system around kind of what you're doing right now and kind of like abstract away some of the more tedious bits?
Do you see big differences between B2B and their approach to AI visibility and B2C, or is it very similar? Are you seeing any differences at all?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I see a lot of difference. The main difference is the amount of content and the breadth of pages you have available. And so B2B, we don't have as many pages, as many like page views, as much traffic as, some larger B2C brands. B2C has, these whole like product pages and product description pages that all require much different like metadata and just kind of like ways of showing all the answers. And then I was at ZeroClick San Francisco a few months ago, and someone who worked at a mattress company came to me and she's like, hey, Nick, we know reviews are important. We use this, one vendor to help collect and show reviews on all of our product pages. But the problem is that review widget is loaded via JavaScript. And so we know the LLMs can't crawl that. OpenAI, Anthropic aren't, parsing JavaScript right now. And so she was like, how do I fix this? And I was like, that's a thorny problem, actually.
Yeah.
That's a problem that a lot of B2C companies are facing that maybe some B2B companies don't, because the scale, the systems are a lot different. And I ultimately didn't have a lot of advice for her beyond like maybe change vendors. Like it's like that's your stack. Like, it's a problem now, which is I think like the most important part. And then how you get creative to fix it is the next step.
I like it. Is there anything that you think is underinvested right now for AI visibility by brands?
Yeah, I think marketers in general are probably approaching Reddit in the wrong way. And I know you and I have talked about this.
Right.
We've been lucky to have Rob Gage from Reddit come speak at, I think, almost every zero click that we've had. And his general advice is that Reddit is more of like a dinner party where you don't want to be the guest who's just talking the entire time. Like you have to sit and listen and participate and be a good guest, maybe bring a dish, maybe bring a bottle of wine, don't just show up unannounced with nothing to give or nothing to share. And so I think marketers in general have kind of like descended on Reddit in mass, and we're seeing some of the like negative implications from that. But I think it comes down to how I approach LinkedIn too, is almost a similar way of how you approach Reddit, of like go in with the mindset of wanting to contribute first and give and give and give before you take and you ask back. Yeah. And marketers just want to push the easy button and like, oh, I want all these Reddit citations tomorrow. And like the reality is it takes a bit of time.
What do you think is overinvested in AI visibility right now? Like, is there anything that stands out where you're like, here we go again?
Listicles are like, I think like we'll start to see them really fall off a cliff soon. Okay. And so much that I have people emailing me all the time of like, Nick, I'm writing a new article, like best AEO, best GEO. If you pay me this much, I'll put Profound first. And I'm like, I'm good. Like, I'm okay. And so I think a lot of people are really over investing in them. There are cases where it works. If you see the top cited page, a listicle, and you're not on it, like by all means go and like find a way to go do that. Yeah. What I found in our own data too is there's certain industries they're very heavily cited by affiliate pages. And I think the online mattress space is especially like this, where most of the top cited pages are Wirecutter and kind of like all these other more like affiliate pages. And what I found is that those affiliates are almost kind of the gatekeepers of, is your product recommended often by ChatGPT or not? Right. If you're listed in their affiliate article, then you get cited because Wirecutter or whatever is cited a lot. If you're not listed there, then you're invisible. And so this gives so much power to the affiliate team or anyone who does affiliate marketing to say, hey, like not only we can drive direct response revenue through clicks and all of that, but we can also impact AI visibility too. And so in that case, it makes sense.
I love it. One of the things that you folks did before a lot of folks was launching the MCP. Like, do you talk me through how profound, well, one, you folks came quick. So that you came to the market with this MCP very fast out of the gates and folks are using it. How do you use it today? Like, how do you incorporate it into your workflows?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we planned this or not, but we literally just relaunched the MCP about a week ago and added a ton of new features to it. And so awesome. Our first MCP was pretty basic. It had like an MCP is made up of tools inside of it. And so I think we only had two tools. One was like fetch data and one was like analyze data. Cool. Now we have, I think, 12 to 15 different tools. One of them is like generate a board report, generate a weekly report, send me alerts, pull visibility, pull citations, make like a 2x2 grid. And so our MCP is a lot better. And I think it's one of the best ways to interface with Profound data right now. Because not only is it trained on what our data looks like, the data structure to where you ask it a question, it'll go just find it much more easily. We've also added persona skills in there. And so it'll go and add another layer of saying, hey, imagine you're an SEO manager, and you have access to this data, help me analyze it. And so it'll almost do like second order analysis for you of looking at the data and saying, is this good or not? And I literally sat with the person who rebuilt our MCP and identified all these different ICPs and personas. We have like a marketing leadership one, an SEO one, a PR and comms one that is built internally by us and tested. Awesome. And so, go use it. It's amazing.
When you think of your day-to-day work, how often are you, like when you are experiencing work, Do you have Claude going all the time consistently? Like, has it become a part of you in your workflows on a day-to-day basis? Like, how integrated is the AI with you today? Has it become your Jarvis, so to speak?
It's deeply integrated. Like
Yeah.
Claude went down for 20, 30 minutes yesterday, and I was like, what is my job anymore? Like, what do I freaking out right now?
Hilarious.
And so I just went outside for a bit and came back and touched
Nice.
grass, and
There you
it
go.
was all good. It was all good. It's deeply integrated, and I use it to run experiments on my personal website. Still, I use it to basically every element of my job. Like Claude touches in some way. Like I'm still a human in the loop proponent. Like I don't have agents just running
Right.
indefinitely in the background doing things without me being the final check. But I am fully AI pilled, and
That's cool.
some of that is my job as marketing engineer profound to like be
Right.
deeply in there to go
Right.
educate our team and go talk to people about it. But love
That's
it.
awesome. Some folks want to essentially be you when they grow up. What advice do you have for the up and coming marketers who want the opportunity to get into a high growth startup and really be a marketing engineer in the next era?
Yeah, we're hiring a lot of folks at Profound, and so I get to interview a lot of people right now. And the candidates that stand out the most to me are people who come in with a project they've built and can talk about it, like a project built with AI. And I don't even care what they've built. It could be like a Pokédex. It could be a system that scrapes Ticketmaster so they can get tickets to the Noah Khan concert, that's coming up.
Love it.
But build something and then be able to talk through the life cycle of building it, of why you built it, where you got stuck, where you pivoted and evolved, and kind of like tell me a story of why you built the thing. I don't care about the exact thing you built unless you have a way to get me Noah Khan tickets to the show in New York. That I do. Please slide into my DMs if you have that. But like I care about what you learned in the system you built. And there are, I guess, like I would say I do give people bonus points if they've built something that's related to their job or the job that they're interviewing for. But I think it's come to an interview and be able to talk through something you've built with AI and why it matters, and you'll stand out because half the people I talk to don't have anything like a personal AI project or something they built in their job right now, and that's what really differentiates you.
I love it. All right, last question. This one is for the enterprise teams that are still on the fence about whether or not they should buy into this world of AEO. What advice would you give them?
Yeah, all your competitors are already looking at this and probably looking at it faster than you are. If you haven't bought into this right now, I have a list of enterprise brands that I'm already working with at Profound who are moving really, really fast. And so I think the FOMO there is real, and Profound is truly built for the enterprise company right now. And I think the best piece of feedback we get from our customers is our product velocity. And we're just shipping so many new features on such a fast pace that it's even hard for me to keep up with everything that we ship. And we find that our customers love that. They want to know that we're deeply invested in building the best platform for them to monitor, control, and scale their visibility in AI search. We have Profound agents that will help enable their marketing teams to go through and do great work faster. And there's no other platform to look at.
I like it. Nick, if folks wanted to learn more a little bit about you, where should they go? How can they reach out and how can they connect?
Yeah, come find me on LinkedIn, slide into my DMs. If I don't answer, just hassle me some more. It means that you're one of 20 people who DM'd me that day, and the squeaky DM gets a response from me. So the more you hassle me, as long as you're not selling me something, the better. So please find me on LinkedIn.
I love it. Well, Nick, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate what you've done for the industry. The research you folks put out is super helpful for the entire state of marketing today. So really appreciate that. And thanks for coming on.
Ross, thank you so much for having me. And honestly, same back to you. Is I've been doing so much public speaking lately that I've been modeling a lot of my public speaking on a lot of the public speaking you've done that I've seen firsthand. And so you've been a role model for me too. So I want to say thank you too.
Thanks, Nick.